恭请大德圣听，为此法会及一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，殊证无生。Will the Sangha, with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize numbers.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo saranto sucheroye olahuri samyao samputoshe.
Namo sadanto suchedoye arahati samyao samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even through billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master, Dharma friends, good evening. I'm going to sneeze. Just not into the microphone, please. So, welcome. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I want to say to people who have very mindfully worn their masks in tonight, those large white devices in front of you are filters. You can take your mask off if you prefer. If you'd rather leave it on, that's fine. Just let folks know they don't have to wear their mask. We're halfway through our protocol here for beginning the lecture. Let's finish it, and then we'll close that. This is a chance for you to participate in requesting the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and the 3 periods of time, the Avatamsaka Assembly, to draw near, to come and join the Sutra lecture and bless us. So please do that. Apologize for the slow start today. We had a surprise from our software, but patiently we were able to handle it. So just lost a little bit of time, that's all. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Wan Jing Wan Hai Wei Fo Pu Sa. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Wan Jing Wan Hai Wei Fo Pu Sa. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Wan Jing YN Highway Bokusa Namo Da Fang Guang Fo YN Jing YN Highway Bokusa Namo Da Fang Guang Fo YN Jing YN Highway Bokusa Namo Da Fang Guang Fo YN Jing YN Highway Bokusa. One more time. Namo Da Fang Guang YN Highway Bokusa. Not
full screen the document, because I see two slides when you share.
oh,
I see the current slide and the next.
you see both. Okay. How? Okay. We're done. Not quite. Not quite. That function is, we're getting lots of surprises tonight. Things that never happened before are suddenly happening. So we will just persevere. How do we get rid of the double slide? Don't know. And info screen and window, fine. In window. Say again, play in window. Try that. Yes, got it. Okay, good. We want to say that the Chochenyo Ohlone people practice their spiritual connections to the earth and to all creation here on their ancestral and unceded land for tens of thousands of years. Today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians of the lands in which we live, learn, work, and where all activities take place. We recognize all First Nations peoples as the original storytellers of these lands, and we offer our respect to their elders past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. All right. Okay. Now, again, happy holidays to you. We have a Christmas tree right here with presents underneath it, so Santa Claus has already come. He looked a lot like Maitreya Bodhisattva. He had a big belly and a big bag, and he just left all these gifts. So we've acknowledged the country to say that we sitting here tonight, here in Berkeley, California, come from everywhere else. Every one of us is an immigrant unless you have native ancestral blood. We say the same thing in Australia, where everybody who is not Aboriginal is an immigrant, which is fine. You could say that if we acknowledge where we are standing and sitting on this spinning mass of gas called a planet, planet Earth, spinning on its orbit through space, that we are truly all immigrants. We've all come from somewhere else, and we're all heading somewhere else. So what do we do with the time we have together here? That's the question, isn't it? Now, because you have come tonight to listen to the Flower Garland Sutra, the Avatamsaka Sutra, it is my opportunity to be the Dharma gifting Santa Claus for all of you. Dharma Master Jinfo is here, and Shamanera Qinliang is here, along with myself. They early on, from 6:30, practiced giving Dharma by helping us recite the Buddha's name and making offerings to the ghosts and the spirits and the animals through the Mengshan Shishi, the gifting, the food offering of Mengshan that we do every night. So for we Sangha members, for us monks, we have an opportunity to give Dharma every night. And it really feels that way. And you know what they say? They say that the giving of offering when you give offerings, makes you happy. Who knows that? Parents. Parents know that. Christmas, big holiday for kids. Tomorrow, I hope you Buddhist parents gave your kids a Christmas tree. Because growing up in this culture, that's the story that's being told. It's one of North America's best stories. And no matter how cynical, no matter how nasty, no matter how greedy, no matter how uncaring and cruel we are the rest of the year, when it comes time for Christmas, people go back to their childlike mind. And big, tough, greedy, nasty people just kind of get soft around the lights and around the songs, the Christmas carols. There's something about the holiday season in the West that has infected the whole world. It's amazing to be in Singapore on Orchard Road, all right? Orchard Road in Singapore is one of the most commercially greedy pieces of real estate on the whole planet. And after Halloween, it's Christmas on Orchard Road in Singapore, 90 degrees outside, palm trees, and everybody's singing, "Little tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way." And you're like, no, he's not. This is Singapore. What are you talking about? Christmas? Snowflakes? You know, but yes, it is. It is. It's true in Taipei. It's true in Sydney. It's true in Dallas. Why? Because of the heart of giving. Because of the generosity represented by Christmas. It's a chance to give and to receive. And as I say, the parents know the joy of giving. Kids love to wait. Look over here. If I could turn our camera, you could see our Christmas tree, right? It's just lots of gifts underneath. But the givers are grateful. The givers get the gifts because of the joy that lights the heart up when you give. That's true. And so we love Christmas. It represents this opportunity to soften, to be kind, and to go back to that heart we had as kids. So, you can understand, you know what they say? They say there's 3 kinds of giving in the Dharma. One is the giving of things, that's what we're talking about, the generosity. One is the giving of courage, which is you calm people's hearts during hard times. When there's frustration, when there's fear, when there's anxiety, when there's sleeplessness, if you're able to, right at that time, talk to someone and give them a sense of it's going to be okay, put a bigger perspective around it and show that the thing in front of their eyes is not the biggest problem, that there are other problems that you've been through before, so you'll make it through this one. The giving of courage, right? It's called waste, so the giving of fearlessness. But then there's a third kind of giving, and that's the kind that people leave home in order to do. And that's called the giving of Dharma. Fa shi, right? The giving of Dharma. So tonight, I get to practice that. So I'm happy. This is My Christmas is here on Christmas Eve. How many of you open your presents on Christmas Eve and not on Christmas Day? Any Christmas Eve present openers? You're all Buddhists. Nobody opens presents. Oh, man. Oh, come on. When you were growing up, when your parents, did you all grow up like without? Okay, some of you had Christmas at home. Christmas Eve or Christmas morning? Christmas Eve, hands up. Both. Both? Wow, you had good parents. Christmas?
It was like party on Christmas Eve and open midnight.
I got the same problem. What did she say? I can't hear.
She said Christmas Eve is a party night.
Party night. Party night. Oh, see, this is California Christmas. I had an old-fashioned Ohio Christmas.
Open Christmas morning on midnight.
Midnight? Midnight. Wow, that's different. I didn't hear that one. Okay, you didn't raise your hands because your choice didn't come up, right? So we were Christmas morning. We had the traditional, which was, you know why? You know why we open our presents Christmas morning? Because our parents were up late wrapping the packages at night. They weren't ready. And if we had opened them at night, they would have had to do it while we were awake. So they waited for us to go to sleep before they stuffed our stockings, Christmas stockings. Okay. So, all right. So tonight, Christmas Eve, I'm going to practice the giving of Dharma, which is a genuine gift, because we're going to do something that you didn't expect tonight. Here we go. Ready? I'll read it for you. 尔时觉林菩萨乘佛为力，遍观十方而说颂言。Then Bodhisattva, Forest of Awakening, received the Buddha's awe-inspiring strength, contemplated everywhere in all directions, and chanted the following verse in praise. Okay? Following verses. So we have come to number 10. This is the 10th out of 10 Bodhisattvas. His name is Jielin, Forest of Awakening. And some of you tonight are here with your cold weather camping gear because you are going tomorrow down to not Forest of Awakening, but the Forest of Redwood Chan, Hongmu Chanlin, right? So the same connection with the name of this Bodhisattva. There is a retreat.
The text is not showing on the.
Oh, why not?
Maybe share for now and then go to the display. Is that the
Okay, we're gonna, so hold on there for all of you folks who wonder what's happening. We've outsmarted ourselves. We got too fancy. We're just a little too many systems all at once, trying to get you to see something virtually while we're sending it to YouTube and to Zoom. And the Zoom changed on us, and you could see my slideshow changed on me. So we'll bounce with it. What would you like me to do?
so go to your display.
Go to my displays,
You may want to unshare first.
unshare, stop share. Okay. And then go there. Go to displays. Yes, displays, right.
Instead of extend, use a duplicate. Now see, is that
Arrange. Done.
yeah, that's extend.
There. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. When you hear oops, you know you're in trouble. Oops. Now I have to see, because my cursor is up there.
We see the Fashi desktop.
Say again?
We see the desktop.
You see the desktop. Where's my cursor? Do you want to do it? You can take it out and do it.
See the viewing display.
Okay. What would you like me to?
Instead of extend, we want just have one display.
Okay. Now we're back to that. I pull it out again. I move the desktop onto the, okay,
I want to have
default. Should we try to do it without the screen?
Then you can do it, but they cannot see.
They can't see.
So let me try to connect.
Okay. You have to go out and watch the cursor there. Why don't you can, there we go. Okay, I'll keep talking while Jerry sets it up. Okay, and we thank everybody who's waiting in Australia to translate into Chinese, and our friends who are translating into Vietnamese for all of their kindness and patience here on Christmas Eve. So what I was saying was, we are running a retreat, the first major retreat down in Redwood Vihara, our new monastery down in the Santa Cruz Redwoods. And it's very cold. It's winter. We've been through the solstice already, just 2 days ago, 4 days ago, which is the coldest and the longest night of the year. We're now into the march towards the shortest night of the year. Day by day, our hours of daylight are growing and our hours of darkness are diminishing. So that's happening, and it's pretty exciting to have our very first full-scale retreat down there. Those of you who are going down, please take your warmies, because it's going to be chilly, but even as, if you want to say how cold and dark it is at this time of year, in the Chan monasteries of China, which is our tradition, that was the time when people said the sitting was the best, because the external conditions make it perfect for deep entry into samadhi, right? Everything gets really still. And you know what you're going to find down there in those woods? You're going to find stillness. It's really quiet, where those big creatures, you could say that the redwoods are one living being. They talk and connect through their roots. Those trees have been standing there for hundreds and hundreds of years. If you had to go find the oldest living thing on the planet, you would be hard to find something older than the redwoods. And you know how many of them are left compared to how many there were to begin with before humans came? 5%. 95% of them have been cut down. Now, they didn't die because their roots were still alive, but their second generation are what we have surrounding us at Redwood Vihara. So, now our monks who are leading us, Jin Chuan and Jin Wei, are not listening at the moment, but I will say to those of you who are going down there that, and I'll say this when I get down there on next Friday, that part of our job as setting up a monastery in don't worry about the software, Jerry, just go ahead and close everything. I'll reopen it, so whatever it takes, you go ahead. Part of our job as people setting up a monastery there is to say we're sorry, is to show to the redwood trees that we massacred that we mean no harm, and that some human beings can live together with other species without causing them harm. That's part of our job. And I mean it because I lived under those redwood trees for a year plus when I was writing my dissertation. People who remember, this was in the 2000s. We had been here in the monastery for 7 years. And I was going down, I graduated in 2003, so it was 2000 to 2003 that I was writing my dissertation. If people remember 9/2大地震 in Taiwan, the September 21st great earthquake, that was the year that I went from those redwoods directly to Taichung. Anyway, so I have that memory in my mind of standing at that deck and saying, hearing the phone call and saying, oh, you better go, so we're going to Taiwan. So living down there, you're very aware of the redwoods being a sentient creature who, at the hands of humans, received a grievous harm. We nearly wiped them out. And something that is that big, that old, has a memory. And it is, to say they're sentient, well, yeah. They're breathing. They have sap. They have conditions that are required for them to live, right? So it's our job to show them that humans can be good neighbors, that we don't necessarily cause them harm. So that's a job. And we do that by reciting, by living kindly, living without anger, living without revenge or nastiness, right? So just being good people. That's what we're showing those trees. So some of you will say, huh, listen to that monk. He sounds like a Buddhist monk. Airy-fairy nonsense, right? No, I mean it. I know what it's like to live there and feel the presence of this sentient, ancient body that doesn't have goodwill towards us because we have shown nothing but carelessness towards them, right? So, all right, get the idea. Now, here's what I want to say, and I can actually say this without the sutra. Our Bodhisattva, Jilin Pusa, is going to bring us face to face with one of the biggest problems and one of the biggest joys of Buddhism. What is one of the biggest problems and the best parts? It's one of the worst parts and the best parts. Not the worst parts, the hardest parts and the best parts of being a Buddhist. What would it be? Well, you go to Taiwan, you go to Malaysia, you go to China, you go to Singapore, you go to Hong Kong, you go to Vietnam. What do Mahayana Buddhists like to do? Well, the answer is mostly Nianfo, recite the Buddha's name. The most popular practice in the Mahayana countries is devotion. Now, what is devotion? Devotion says, Namo Amitofo, I want to go to the Pure Land. And there's a reason for that, and that reason is because it works. This week, we had a family member of one of our community members who was 100 years old and passing away. Still alive now. But the family gathered together around the bedside of this elder. We good? Okay. And because because they had the Pure Land practice to rely on, so they didn't get so sad. I have been part of families who don't have Amitabha, who don't have the Pure Land, and when somebody's passing away, it's hard because they don't know why the elder's passing. They don't know where he's going. They don't know what to do. It's hard, right? So what do? You shake your fist at heaven, and you promise, okay, well, when he gets to heaven, it'll be better. There's no good feeling there. So that story doesn't work very well when you just feel so helpless. Did God pick him to go to heaven or not? So anyway, when you have the Pure Land, you go, Amitofo. And our story is a good one because people who get recited for, at the end of life, they shine. There's no reason to feel grief and cry. Of course, they're going somewhere, they're leaving us, but there's a feeling of, hey, can I go with you? I think that place sounds better than the one we got here. Oh, COVID, warfare, earthquakes, floods. How many Jinfo, how many planes are canceled already by tonight? 2,000? More than. That was this morning. Probably double that now. All those flights, all those people with their tickets in their hand and their bags all packed got to the airport and they were told, sorry, that plane isn't flying, right? Pure Land sounds better. So maybe let's go to the Pure Land with your ticket in your hand, your passport, right? What kind of a passport do you need to go to the Pure Land? 6 words. Namo Ami Tuofo. 可以了. Oh, stomp, stamp, stamp. Right? Stamp that. Go. Through the gate. So, yeah, that's why Pure Land is by far the favorite practice. However, Pure Land depends on something called Ta Li, others' strength, the strength of someone else. Who? Amitabha, his vows. So that is Ta Li. And it's similar to the idea of going to heaven, but there's a difference, which is that going to heaven story, you don't do anything. You just wait. And it might work, it might not. In our story, our Pure Land story, the Buddha says, if you recite, excuse me, our story is a collaboration. If we recite, his vows start to work. So we have our part. And that gives you, that's proactive. It's not passive, it's active. You engage in your own salvation. That's a very interesting way to build it, isn't it? That's so interesting. So it's very popular. In Vietnam, while people do like Chan, they like Pure Land more. Nam Ma Yi Da Phut. Nam Ma Yi Da Phut, right? Oh, man. In the Chinese-speaking world, Namo Ami Tuofo. Okay. However, not everybody wants the Pure Land. What's the other choice? Chan, meditation, 自力, help yourself, self-effort. And, okay, now, are you all with me? Are we still doing good, y'all? Pure Land over here, really popular. Why? 100 people do it, 100 people go to the Pure Land. But that's not the whole story. Our teacher taught the Pure Land, but what else did he teach? He also taught Chan. What is Chan? It's based on one idea that is so powerful and so compelling that it became the symbol for all of Buddhism in China. And what is that idea? You ready? Hold on to it. Emptiness. Kong. Shunyata. What do I mean? In China, they called Buddhism Kongman, the gateway to emptiness. Now, wait a minute. That's so different than Amitabha, isn't it? Isn't that weird? Look, the most popular practice is somebody else's strength. Amitabha's vows, Namo Amitofo, Namo Amitofo, Qiu Sheng Jing Du. I want to be born from a lotus flower in a pure land where there's no suffering. Emptiness? That's not that can't coexist. If that story is true, then how is emptiness important to me? Okay? Why was Buddhism called Kongman, the gateway to emptiness? How do we put those two stories together? And the answer is, I'll tell you. Kong Jia Zhong. Emptiness, false names come together with compassion in the middle. Okay, got to remember that, and then this will come alive for you. Kong Jia Zhong. Empty, false, integrated, harmonized, in the middle. Those 3 words are the genius of Chinese Mahayana. We identify those 3 words particularly with Nagarjuna, Longshu Pusa, because he was the one who wrote about it, but the idea arose spontaneously, which is what? Yes. Take a look. Okay, I'll just put that out. That's theory. You got that theory? Holding on to that theory? Take a look. Here's our sutra. Ready? I'll give you a line, you give it back. 譬如供花时，分不出彩色，虚妄取一相，大众无差别。The way a skillful painter arranges colors and hues on his palette before shaping the many illusory images. Among those elements, there are no such discriminations. Among the elements, there are no such discriminations. One more. We got to do one more to make sense of this. Here we go. 大众中无色，色中无大众，一不离大众，二有色可得。Elements contain no forms. Amid forms, you find no elements. Yet without these elements, no forms could exist. One more. This is going to be worth it. Hold on. 心中无才华，才华中无心，然不离于心，有才华可得。The mind contains no paintings. Amid paintings you find no mind. Yet without the mind, no paintings could exist. All right, thank you for following on. This is very cool. Tonight I'm going to explain to you something about Buddhism that maybe you have never put together before, but it's very much like the clouds going away and there's the sun. And you go, oh, the sun has been there all along. Why didn't I see it before? Like that. That's how important tonight's verses and all the verses from Jilin Pusa are. This collection of 10 verses, he's the last bodhisattva to come out in the middle of the forum, kneel down, palms together, and praise the Buddha. And his set of verses have motivated people forever. Why? Let me show you one verse in particular, and you'll go, oh, that's where it's from. We've been waiting. You ready? Scroll down, and let's see. We did 3 of his 10. We did 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, there's 8. 若人欲, let's see. 若人欲了知三世一切佛因观法界性一切为心造. Those 4 lines have come out of the entire Avatamsaka Sutra and excited people ever since. It's somehow like, if you think of all of Shakespeare's works, people go, oh yeah, I know Romeo and Juliet, that love story, right? That's so sad. They don't know Shakespeare, they know Romeo and Juliet because it's like unforgettable. This is one of those verses that comes out of not only all the Avatamsaka, but out of Buddhism. Because why? People go, should you want to know all Buddhas of the 3 periods of time? Simply contemplate the nature of the Dharma realm, how absolutely everything is made from the mind alone. People go, whoa, right? That's in our stanza from our Bodhisattva in our chapter. Okay, that was 8. No, that was 9. Yeah, or I guess that's actually 10. So here we go. Let's go back and look. What do I want to show you tonight? I want to show you how Buddhism, I'll give you the conclusion first, and then we'll walk it back. And those of you who are like brand new to this sutra, you're going to go, that's very cool. I never thought of that before. All right. So the theory is Kong Jia Zhong. Empty? Yeah, things are empty. But you know what? We still use all kinds of false names to refer to things that we know are empty. And how do we make sense of that without thinking we're schizophrenic? We bring it together with the Bodhisattva's heart to help people. On Christmas Eve, we practice giving. The way a skillful painter arranges colors and hues on his palette before shaping the many illusory images, yet among the elements there is no such discriminations. Let me translate that for you. What's he saying? He's saying, how does Buddha Dharma work? He said, what's reality? Reality is like this. Let me give you a picture. You know how a painter works? What does a painter do? Painter's got a palette. Any painters here? Anybody ever work with? Let's say pencils, crayons, pastels. What are some of the other engraving? Okay, let's just stick with, let's say colored crayons. We know crayons, okay? Let's say the way a skillful kindergarten teacher gets all her crayons ready before she tells the kids, okay, kids, let's start drawing. In the crayons, there's no pictures, right? You look at the crayons, all the pictures those kids are going to draw of Santa Claus and Christmas trees and candy canes and snowflakes and snowmen, they're all contained in those crayons, that box of 64 colors, but the box has not a single snowman or snowflake or Christmas tree in it. Isn't that interesting? How does that work, right? Oh, I see what you did there, right? So that's he's saying, he's preparing us to understand what? What is the mind? He wants us to understand reality and the mind, because that's the Buddha's teaching. So what does he say? He says, oh, I can't tell you about the Buddha because you don't have any idea of the Buddha. I can't tell you about the mind because we ordinarily don't think this way. But we are cultivating the Buddha Dharma. And what is the Buddha Dharma about? The Buddha Dharma is going to tell us something about ourselves and about reality so we can live better. So we live more satisfying lives, more happiness. We understand a little bit more about what's really going on. Okay, so he says, I can't tell you about the Buddha or the mind, but I'll tell you about a painter. I'll tell you about a kindergarten teacher with a box of crayons. Let's get started, he says. Okay, here we go. Just like the kindergarten teacher with the crayons, she's got her crayons out there. She's ready to give green to Bobby and red to Susie. But you know what? She says, inside those crayons, every single thing you're going to draw today is in that box of crayons. But you know what? None of those crayons have. You pick out the green or the red. Show me the candy cane. Show me the Christmas tree. Show me the snowman. Not there. Isn't that interesting? Right? That's just the point that for the first out of 10 verses, he's just saying, take a look. How does that work? That reality comes entirely from the mind, and yet, show me the mind. It's like, Mayola, sorry, where is it? Okay. Some people hear that and go, boring. Other people hear that and go, yeah, that's true, isn't it? I never saw that before. Okay, verse number 2. So I just translated verse 1, right? Kindergarten teacher, crayons, master painter, tints on the palette. Among the elements, what he's saying is among the colors on the palette, show me the many illusory images the painter's going to paint. Not yet, because they're still in the red and the green paint, the oils that go on the palette. Okay. Number 2, what does he say? In the crayons, you won't find a single Christmas tree that the kid is going to paint, draw, right? And yet, in the Christmas tree that was painted, where's the crayon? Well, you could say it's the green on the paper, but there's no crayon. It's the trace the crayon makes. And yet, without crayons, no paintings, no drawings. So what has he done? He's made another comment about this thing called mind and world. How the mind creates our world. Yet if you want to go out into the world, if I go out into my teacup and say, show me the mind, can't. And yet, from the Buddha's point of view, every part of the action of my just taking a drink of pu'er tea is in the mind. Okay, so yeah. And what's going on? We have a bodhisattva praising the Buddha. That's what we're participating in. We're listening to this bodhisattva called Julian sing to the Buddha. He's choosing to talk about reality in the mind. Okay? Number 3, the mind contains no paintings. And in the paintings, you won't find any mind, yet if you didn't have the mind functioning, you'd never have any paintings. Okay, so we'll give you 3 right now. 3 of the 10. You have to come back next week to find out how it comes out. What's he going to teach us? So what is he saying? He's saying, look at the nature of reality, how strange and magical it is. Okay, what does he say? You want to go in the mind and you want to find a kid's drawing with crayons? You won't. There's no paper and crayon in my mind right this minute. But if you go out to the drawing that the kid makes, show me where the mind is. Nope, you won't find it. However, he says, if it wasn't the mind in there discriminating, oh, that's a Christmas tree, that's a candy cane, that's the mailman putting letters in the box covered with snow, because it's wintertime, or I guess in Australia, the box baking in the sun. Merry Christmas. And yet there's no mind anywhere, but without the mind you wouldn't have it at all. So what I call that is magic. There's a magician happening here. And if we understand the Buddha Dharma, we become part of this process. We take part in the magic. Okay, so that's it for now. That's all the theory. You can relax here. So what's the point? The point is, that's cool. To my mind, it's like, yeah, I never saw it that way. So what's in between? How does it work? Some of us, we go, inquiring minds want to know. Well, the Buddha would say, oh, I'm glad you asked. He said, take a look. We got eyes, the eye organ. We got the drawing. We could work with the photograph. Let's do real. We got a photograph of the Buddha up here, right? So this is taken through my camera. My camera took that picture of the Buddha outside my house in Australia. That Buddha is no longer by my house. He's now in the center courtyard of our new central, the new courtyard of the new activity center in the monastery. And I need a new Buddha. There's now the stand where the Buddha used to be. It's kind of bare there. So if anybody had the big Buddha to send to Australia, we'll take it. So if we look at this, we say, my eye is looking, the thing I'm looking at is the sight, and in between there's something going on, which is I'm looking at black and white, areas of light, areas of dark. Somehow I arrange it and I go, oh, Buddha. It's called consciousness. Consciousness is in there discriminating, right? So the Buddha would say, right, very good. You need three things for sight to happen. You need the eye organ, you need the thing you're looking at, and you need the consciousness of sight that's going, okay, black, white, Buddha, head, foot, arm, light, dark, all that. Then you can have the experience of vision. And you can recognize something. You give it a name. So he said, but then what do? You go, show it to me. And you go, I really can't because it's all kind of happening here. Shut your eyes and you've lost it. Put a blindfold on, you've lost it. Turn the light out. As we had a minute ago, we weren't getting the projector and the computer connected. We couldn't see it. So where did it go? Well, it's kong. It's empty. It's based on conditions. All those conditions have to be there, and now you got it. Oh, we got our conditions straightened out. Finally, we can see it. Okay, kong. But I'm not satisfied if it's kong, if it's empty, because I wanted to call it Buddha. I want you to see the Buddha that was there. Okay, so what do? We give it a false name. We say projector, we say HDMI cable, we say screen, we name it, and that's all false names. So we can refer to it. So we can say, yeah, that's a Buddha. I'll recognize it next time. We change it and we have something else, another name. Now, because of the Buddha's kindness, he wants us to wake up so we don't hurt so much, so we're not afraid so much. So what do? We live as if it wasn't empty. If you insist all the time, this is all empty, it's all false. My eyes, my ears, they're like, how come they don't work now? Well, you covered take the sun away on a cloudy day, everything's dark. Oh, if you freak out over that, what do people call you? Crazy. They call you schizophrenic. They'll lock you up. They'll medicate you. If you say, oh, it's empty, it's empty, it's empty, it's empty, even though, you know what? We know it's empty. Show me after we die, where is it? Doesn't exist. It was only happening because of my eyes, because of the light, all these conditions that had to be there. What's the basic condition? We're on a spinning piece of rock going through space. Every 24 hours, we go around once. Every 365 days, we go around a bigger circle once. And yet we pretend like gravity's not happening. Okay? So here we go. Ready? 100 times out of 100, that will happen. Drop the phone, down it goes. 100 times out of 100 because of gravity. When do I drop it and it goes up? Ooh, when it's earthquake time, right? Yeah. So we pretend that's not happening, but it is. Even to the point where the Catholic Church for hundreds of years denied it officially. And if you said it wasn't true, they'd put you in jail. So, yeah, who would imagine that an airplane full of jet fuel, passengers, and baggage could run down the runway and take off and head to Denver? Not tonight. Denver's iced in. But, impossible. Well, it's happening. We have to always pretend like things are not happening, like we're not aging. Look in the mirror. Oh, my goodness. Wrinkles. Look, wrinkles. Really wrinkles. My hair's turning white. You can't see it, but if it grows, it's really white. Stop that. Nope. Sorry. We pretend we ignore it. We do creative denial. We participate in this denial of truth and reality so that we don't go crazy, so that we can continue. That's kong. What do? We give it all false names. We go to the drugstore and buy aging anti-wrinkle cream. We dye our hair. We do anything to prevent aging. Old age, sickness, and death is the Buddha's reality that he named for us. But if you only insist on, I'm getting old, I'm dying, I'm getting sick, people say, oh yeah, gee whiz, those Buddhists, it's all suffering all the time for you guys. So depressed, right? Pessimistic, negative. Say, no, real. But on nights like tonight, on Christmas, this is not the time to talk about emptiness. It's like the time to go, deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la, la 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 la, right? Otherwise, people say, oh, geez, who wants to be a Buddhist? Can't we be Christian on Christmas Eve, just for 24 hours, you know? So, can we be happy? So what do? You go, zhong. You put it together, and you say, you live in the world harmlessly in a way that benefits self, that benefits others, that helps us wake up, that helps others wake up, and that brings well-being to self and to others. Nagarjuna Bodhisattva said, yeah, don't forget the reality that it's all empty, based on conditions. When the conditions fall apart, it falls apart, man. Don't pretend it's not, because it is. However, a skillful person learns the names of reality so that you can work with it. You can live in it to help others. And the zhong part, the merging, is the compassion, where you say, yeah, I want to live in a way that helps people get down the road without hurting, right? So, okay, that's it. That's what I wanted to share tonight. Isn't that interesting? The empty part is not Pure Land. Well, you can merge it. You say, because it's empty, Namo Ami Tofo. Take me to the Pure Land, because I know how empty it is. So I will use, what's a false name? Namo Ami Tofo. Jie Jia Xiu Zhen. You borrow the false to cultivate what is true. Amitabha's vows are true. So we're always bouncing back and forth in Buddhism between devotion to Amitabha and the emptiness of wisdom. Compassion and wisdom. Compassion and wisdom. Now, if I had to pick, somebody says you must pick a religion or die, you know, hold a gun to your head, you got to name yourself something, I would pick Buddhism 100 times out of 100, because why? You can look right at the heart of the magic and the mystery and the misery of emptiness. Emptiness is cold. It doesn't care. Emptiness is going to take every one of us. Doesn't care. You know, the void has no emotion. 不讲忍心, you know. And yet, right within that emptiness, what do you find? Truth. And the Buddha says, yeah, it's true. Can you stand it? Can you take it? Well, learn the names skillfully. Learn to name things correctly, and you avoid most of the suffering. The big ones, Sheng Lao Bing Si, old age, birth, old age, sickness, and death, that's coming. But you can live in a way that reduces the suffering for self and others. And that's the middle way. So I think that's magnificent. That story is so good. You can depend on it. You can count on it. And it's not pie in the sky by and by when you die. You know. So, okay. There we go. So I thought I like that, because we share, you know, in the truth, and yet we want to be compassionate at the same time. So we balance Kong, Jia, Zhong, empty, false, and middle. All right, tonight, being Christmas Eve, Luke reminded me that I have a Christmas story that I tell every year. It's that time again. He heard it 10 years ago, and he remembered it. It's my Christmas story. So it's a good Christmas story. You ready for the Christmas story? You've all heard it before, if you've ever, heard me explain. Actually, in 1983, I have to say, I did not explain my Christmas story. Why? Because in 1983, at Christmas, on Christmas Eve, I was under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, India. I spent Christmas Eve under the Bodhi tree, one night. Tried to stay awake and meditate all night, didn't make it. Wound up face down on the marble. Everything was marble under the Bodhi tree. And had funny dreams. Buddha came and scolded me. Why are you sleeping? Anyway, so my Christmas story goes like this. I was a grad student at this institution up the hill here, UC Berkeley. And I had already taken refuge. I got the Dharma name Guozhan, and I had pretty much committed to being a Buddhist. So I started to hang out at the monastery, and I determined I was going to pay back my student loans so that I could leave home. And I kind of let it be known that I was planning to leave home. So bit by bit, I got to know the other laymen at the monastery, and among them was a guy named Bob Olson, Gofa. And John Scroggs was also there. And what's Scroggs' Dharma name? Guozhan, yeah. And who else was there? Alan Nicholson, Guogui was there, and others. And Gary Leinbarger, Guoyo was there. And it was time for the Fu Qi. Christmas was coming, and it was time for the Buddha recitation 7-day retreat. And I determined that, boy, I'm a Buddhist now, so I better start taking part. I better start cultivating. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll move into the monastery, drive across the Bay Bridge from my Berkeley commune up in the hills where I lived on Vermont Street, and go across and spend a week at Gold Mountain Monastery. It's cold there. Now, one of the things that I grew up with was a Christmas stocking. My mom made a Christmas stocking for myself, for my brother, and for my sister. And Christmas stockings, it's not like the stocking you wear. It's big. It's about this big. Made of red felt with white fur trim and a reindeer on it. And what you do with a Christmas stocking is you put it on the mantelpiece over the fireplace on Christmas Eve, and you come down in the morning, and Santa Claus has stuffed it full of good stuff. Stuffed it full of candy canes, maybe Snickers bars, or maybe you like Milky Ways, or, whatever, Mars bars. Nobody else liked Mars bars. I like Mars bars. And sometimes rolls of, film or cool things. Keys to the BMW, occasionally you find good stuff in your Christmas stocking. So that was what they're doing. That's why we opened our gifts in the morning, Christmas morning, because Christmas Eve, Santa Claus, wasn't parents, Santa Claus is in there, stuffing your stocking full of good stuff. My mom used to take an orange, and she would put cloves in it. Anybody have cloves anymore? Cloves have a little spur, and an orange stuffed with cloves. You know what it looks like? It looks like a coronavirus molecule. Sadly, that's our new image. It looks just like a coronavirus with all the thing, So you come down in the morning, and here's an orange with cloves, and it's so fragrant. That stays fragrant for a month afterwards. So I brought it with me from Ohio to Berkeley. And there, somehow, in the suitcase that I packed, my backpack that I packed to go to Gold Mountain Monastery, I found my Christmas stocking. And I had had that Christmas stocking since I had been about 6 years old. Now I was 22, and here it was. And I thought, oh my God. And we shared rooms. We were like 3 guys in a room in Gold Mountain Monastery on the 3rd floor. So here I was with my Christmas stocking, and I thought, uh-oh, what am I going to do with this? I'm a Buddhist now. And Buddhists, we don't do Christmas. I thought, so, gosh, I better get rid of it. But I can't throw it away. My mother made it, and I've had it with me for, golly, I've had it for 15 years, going on 16 years. How can I throw it away? I thought, well, but I can't keep it because I'm a Buddhist now, So, well, I know what I'll do. I'll stick it out on the door of my dormitory room on the 3rd floor of Gold Mountain, and just like a thumbtack and stick it out there. I'll let them throw it away for me. The other guys who are on the floor with me. They'll see it and they'll go, oh, I guess he doesn't know how to be a Buddhist. We'll throw it away. So I thought, okay, I'll do that. Said goodbye, kind of shed a tear, think of all the Christmases that I went through with that stocking. And I put it out on the door and then went to sleep. And then the next morning, what do you hear at 3:30 is, the boards, the morning tapan, clack, 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 clack. One volunteer gets up early, goes around, clack, 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 waking everybody else up. That's what you hear in the monastery at 3:30. So I heard the boards, oh, boy, it's really early. Oh, it's cold here. So I got all bundled up, and I remembered, oh, my Christmas stocking. Well, I couldn't throw it away myself, so I went to the door from inside, opened it up, and I looked down. I thought maybe somebody tore it up or used scissors. I looked for the pieces of red felt, and I didn't see anything on the floor. So I looked at the outside of the door, and there was my Christmas stocking stuck on the door, and it was packed full with little Buddha images and recitation beads and little sutra in plastic and candy canes and candy bars, just like before. And I looked at it, and my heart just opened. So I thought, why are you so mean? Why do you think Buddhists hate Christians? That's on you, that's not them. Look, they accept you as you are. Nobody in America is going to start a Buddhist. We all come from something else. So why don't you stop being so mean and get compassionate? I was like, oh, no. And my heart just melted. So I took it down, I put it inside, and just felt really humbled. And I walked downstairs to get ready for Zao Ke, and I came around the corner, and here is Master Hua. Here's Shifu. And he's standing right in front of me with a big grin, and he says, Merry Christmas. I'm like, so I got in line to recite Amitofo and just walked around, and I thought, maybe being a Buddhist is okay. So that's my Christmas story, and I tell that story every year. And what happened to my stocking later, there was a guy who was an Air Force colonel, actually. He was at the Air Force base that's right there in Marin as you go north. What was it called? I forget the name. They later closed it. But he brought his son to the monastery while he was staying overnight to do Chan, and his young boy was about 10 years old and like big eyes, spending the night. So I said, hey, I'll bet you could use a Christmas stocking. I gave it to him. He was like, oh. So, yeah. So that's what happened to the Christmas stocking, and I'm sure my mom would have approved of that. So here we are. That's 空假中, all in one. Right? You know it's empty, and you know the story of Santa Claus. You know Santa Claus? That's a commercial story. That's Father Christmas. And yet, if you can use it skillfully, the way Shifu did, you wind up teaching, some closed-minded disciples about what it means to be a Buddhist. Compassion, and taking people as they come, and then showing them another way to be kind. All right, so I'm going to borrow some work done by two friends of mine, a man named Al Petaway and his wife, Amy White. They live in the Blue Ridge Mountains at 3,000 feet elevation, high up in the Blue Ridge. And if anybody remembers the novel called Cold Mountain, not Gold Mountain, Cold Mountain, by Charles Spencer, who wrote Cold Mountain. It's a novel about the Civil War, and we made a film, the really powerful film. Anyway, Al and Amy can see Cold Mountain from their front porch, the actual Cold Mountain that Charles, forget who wrote, that he wrote about the Civil War based on an actual mountain in the Blue Ridge. So you get a kind of a sense of where it is. They put together a brief video about Christmas and winter around their home, and I wanted to share because I directed some snarky remarks about Christmas in Singapore and Christmas in the Gold Coast. It's harder to appreciate, Santa Claus and snowmen when the temperature is 85 degrees and everything is green. But it's not the outside. We have made that point, that Christmas is the spirit of generosity and the joy of giving. So for those folks who are curious about what Christmas is like where there is snow in the winter and it's cold out, let me share with you. This video is available on YouTube. It's called Winter in the Blue Ridge, Al Petaway, Amy White. So we're going to enjoy this now. All the photographs, videos, and music are created by Al Petaway and Amy White. And behold a star. Then the snow melts, but it comes back. There's a storm happening right now that is covering them in snow and ice. Their house is surrounded by brown and black bears year-round, except during hibernation. We'll watch until the foxes chase each other. That's coming up. Okay, I hate to stop, but those seeing foxes smiling, happy foxes chasing each other, take a look. Tell me these foxes aren't happy. Look at the smile. Comes through. Here he goes. Yeah, okay. So, thank you, Al and Amy. For folks who want to see the whole thing, look at Christmas in the Blue Ridge, Winter in the Blue Ridge, Al Petaway, Al and Amy. Last week, we sang our, let's see here, close that guy, thank you. We sang our Buddha carols, and I have a new one here. Here We Come A-Wassailing, people know? May Buddhas bless you, everyone, let nothing you dismay. Remember to be mindful and cultivate the way. The suffering of samsara you should end without delay. O tidings of stillness and joy, stillness and joy. O tidings of stillness and joy. Okay. May Buddhas bless you, everyone, let nothing you dismay. Remember to be mindful and cultivate the way. The suffering of samsara you should end without delay. O tidings of stillness and joy, stillness and joy. O tidings of stillness and joy. So I want to honor these people. People can get upset. They say that's best part of Christmas are those hymns, those carols, and you're ruining them. So we're not. We are enjoying them in a Buddhist way. O zabuton, o zabuton. This is a zabuton, right? Zafu, zabuton, futuan. And it's stuffed with kapok, okay? O zabuton, thy kindness is substantial. I sit upon thee day and night, with folded legs and ankles. Thy batting saves my knees from pain. Through hot and cold, you don't complain. O zabuton, compassion's insulation. All right. Okay, we can all sing this one because you practiced last week, and it's now officially on YouTube, right? Jin Yong Shi has put it out there for everyone to learn. Ready? There's a good pitch. Let's see. There we go. Silent mind. 不必合唱，不用合唱。Holy mind. All is calm. All is bright. Deep Vipassana thoughts rise and fall, with Vajra swords detached from them all. Sit in heavenly peace, sit and contemplate. We added the Vajra sword last week, right? We had clear insight before, but we taught about Vajra swords on my Chan session Kai Shi, so we added that. That's how you get rid of the thoughts rise and fall is Vipassana, Shamatha, Chi Guan is Vajra sword, slices it away. Okay, ready? One more time. You can use clear insight if you prefer Vipassana, it's up to you. Silent mind. Holy mind, all is calm, all is bright. Deep Vipassana thoughts rise and fall, with Vajra swords detached from them all. Sit in heavenly peace, sit and contemplate. Okay. Well done, everybody. Last one, remember? A little town of Bethlehem. Here we go. O western land of utmost bliss, how pure we see thee lie. Your lotus flowers gave birth to us, our karma purified. The vows of Amitabha, the one of limitless light, saves everyone who says his name, reborn in pure delight. Okay, you have to know the original before you can sing along with the new one, right? But that's all right, we'll learn them. O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Okay, well done, everybody. Thank you for joining. Every year we add one, so we add a new one this year. So, announcements. This month, starting tomorrow, we are not going to be broadcasting morning and evening chanting. Our retreats and our travels are going to take us away, so there will be a break. The midday Buddha recitation is still on. Tireless, Jinpo Shi is tireless, doesn't rest. He will be helping us Nianfo at 12:30 every day. 就是说，早晚课这个月呢，你自己做，在家里做，我们这里不播放， 因为人手不允许哈。那么每天12点半要跟着金佛师念佛，欢迎收听，欢迎参加，是不是金佛师？
对对，就是我们这个不间断的，这个每天都念佛，12点半到1点，也欢迎大家一起参加念佛。念佛以后可以成佛。
Reborn in pure delight. 对了。Okay, then we will resume in February.
法师，我们还有其他没有停啊？就像礼拜4我们还是有讲经，礼拜5法师也有讲经1点，这个还有礼拜6，像我们礼拜6都还有继续这个。
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
Actually, there's more to announce, which is Friday at 12:30, at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. Yeah. I lecture on the Zhang Dao Ge Song of Awakening. People are welcome. Go to berkeleymonastery.org to get the link. And when you apply, our tireless, fearless coordinator Chan Yu is going to send you a link so you can listen in. Then, Saturday night, this lecture will continue.
Yeah.
Thursday evening, Jin Fo Shi lectures on the Wu Liang Shou Jing. And so, 还有呢？
礼拜天法师你不是有讲？
礼拜天, okay, that's the big news, which is I'm going to resume lecturing on the 10回向品 of the Avatamsaka Sutra, the 10 dedications chapter. Sunday evening, this will be tomorrow night, tomorrow night is Chanqi Kaishi. The following week, we're going to start our 10 dedications, 10 transferences lecture series, resume it, because we stopped halfway through the 6th transference. COVID happened and I traveled, so we're going to continue, and we'll try to make it interesting. The 10 transferences tends to be full of 10 of this, 10 of this, 10 of this. We might bring back the old monk puppet, we don't know yet. We might invite him to come back, Lao He Shang, 那个布袋. So we'll see if he's willing. Make the series a little interesting. Probably tell stories from Master Xuanzang's biography. 玄奘大师的这个外传都会继续. Yeah. Okay, so that's to let you all know. And now, I know my friends in Australia are saying, oh no, another lecture? Do we have to? Oh man, it's okay for you, but what about us? We have to lecture. So I don't know, Cliff, Sam, Kevin, everybody, we'll see about that. I used to do it myself, bilingual, Chinese and English. So I know you all have to work, and that's a Monday afternoon. That's a Monday. In Australia, it's Monday at 11:30. So we'll work it out. We'll let you know. So, okay, that's the announcements. And because COVID is ripping through China, it's important to be sincere while we recite Medicine Buddha's mantra. Transfer the merit. Here we go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaisajya Guru Vaidurya Prabharajaya Tathagatāya Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tathagata Om Vaisajya 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 Samudgate Swaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vaisajya Guru Vaidurya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaisaje Vaisaje Vaisaja Samukate Swaha. One more time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaisaja Guru Vaidurya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyata Om Vaisaje Vaisaje Vaisaja Samudgate Swaha Om. That banjo sounds better and better. We have image of the Buddha. Actually, we could bow. Let's do the City of 10,000 Buddhas, Guanyin Pusa. Should we do 3 bows? Here we go. First bow. Second bow. And third bow. Okay, bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Third bow. Okay, well, happy holidays, everybody. And I'm so impressed at all the young people who were here and were so guai. They listened to the whole lecture. Wow, amazing. Yeah. Okay, happy holidays. Amitofo. Good night. Yes, is that a question in the back there? What did she say? Oh, yeah, we'll let it roll over to the next month. Okay? We'll do two for one. Okay? 好吧？你告诉他们要忍耐。下个月 double reward. Okay? Next year double rewards. Amitofo. Good night, everybody.